Well, hello. Another day, another meeting, and another necessity to comment on the fast unfolding events on this crazy world of ours. But I will start with Kazakhstan first. Yesterday, the meeting of the CSTO, ODKB, I prefer to call it ODKB, much easier to pronounce it, but yeah, Collective Security Treaty Organization, in online mode with Vladimir Putin, Kazakhstan President Tokayev and others. It was pretty clearly stated there by Vladimir Putin that there will be no more color revolutions around Russia, and yeah, there will be no Maidans or new Ukraines. And again, there will be some people, I'm already foreseeing this, and in order to forestall this immediately, let me explain. For people who still suffer from this genius decision by Putin and Russia in general not to invade Ukraine in 2014, which I think so it's one of the stroke of genius really in geopolitical terms, Ukraine wasn't a member of CSTO at that time, plus, unlike Kazakhstan, and there was a much less integration going on there than it was the case with Kazakhstan, even up to today, even considering the fact of this, what is called multivector, so to speak, a euphemism for basically prostituting yourself to the left and to the right to the highest bidder, even considering this multivector policy by Yelbasi, Nursultan Nazarbayev, who nobody saw in the last few days really, and yeah, he is suffering from cancer, I believe, but some people already begin to speculate that he's dead actually, and that might be the case. Who knows? We'll know it's in time, especially after the background of the number of the suicides by the people from the power ministries of Kazakhstan, namely internal affairs, national security, and things of this nature. People who definitely were involved in this plot. And quoting Vladimir Putin yesterday, there were two different plots, I mean, so to speak. One scenario was actually quite justified, and it was economic and desperation. Kazakhstan, in reality, is very poor, and it's people who reacted on the incredible rise in the prices of the gas. But again, hey, capitalism and independence, you wanted it, you got it. It is what it is. But the second one was, of course, it was settling this, the first protest, and pretty much justifiable protest. And that's what Vladimir Putin and others are on record in terms of external influence. Obviously, as of lately, the next, the Polish-run allegedly independent media located in Poland, which featured prominently during the chaos in Belarus, now was involved, and Putin was actually quite straightforward in saying that one of the major reasons for the whole situation in Kazakhstan was the United States leaving Afghanistan, and you know how United States left, quote unquote, Afghanistan. And fact is, it is now really serious work for Russia and ODKB trying to figure out who is better, Taliban or whatever is the alternative is really bad actually. It is same old elements of Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and all those wonderful boys and girls which have been financed and sponsored for a few years now, not only by Turkey, which is of course involved directly there, but also by the United States and London, which still plays this big game, despite the fact that it's basically a second-rate pipsqueak of a country, and no matter what they think about themselves, truth is they can do nothing except for creating trouble and buying people to kill other people, mostly innocent civilians, women, children, what have you. So that's the situation, and it is clear that it's the timing of this whole coup or whatever you call it, because in reality there was an invasion of the foreign fighters and foreign elements into Kazakhstan, is not accidental against the background of Russian and American negotiations in Geneva. Today was the first day. And I want to correct people immediately, those who think that it is a summit. It is not a summit. It is what I would call, and I used this before when writing for my blog, it's Frank Herbert's Dune, a famous phrase of the convention: the forms must be obeyed. And obviously, in a famous David Lynch's movie, Dune, evil-looking Baron Vladimir Harkonnen stating that I made my peace gesture. Consider these negotiations on the levels of the first deputies of the ministers of foreign affairs or secretary of the state, be the forms must be obeyed, initiated by Russia. And Ryabkov today, when giving the bullet point type, briefing about the result of the first days, he was pretty clear, saying that the United States evidently still cannot grasp the gravity of the situation. And I think some can, others, and I'm on the record, basically, I don't consider the US foreign policy and people who run it to be competent to start with, and I'm not the only one who thinks that. People much more involved in it and having access to it way more than me are of the same opinion. And one of them, Michael Brenner, who a couple of days, well, not couple, 5 days ago, left a wonderful piece in the Consortium News about precisely the situation with the American exceptionalism and complete incompetence and unawareness of what is going on. But in the end, Ryabkov is on the record, and of course he's speaking for Russia as a whole, unlike it is the case, for example, with Antony Blinken or people from State Department, because we don't even know who run the United States anymore. There could be some different clans and groups vying for the influence and control of the United States, but the United States is not governable anymore in a classic sense that you have the well-defined state-run policy, including the foreign policy. So in terms of Russia, you have the well-defined foreign policy. With the United States, you don't even know what do they mean when they say anything anymore. You have Pentagon having its own opinions, so-called intelligence community, which is not really a community and very little intelligence in it, and then of course you have State Department people, and you have the other clans and like neocons and ethnic and other mafias from Israeli first to who knows what, and you have to figure out this resultant force among those tremendous number of vectors. And sometimes it's simply impossible because we don't know what resultant will be, what vector is, what its magnitude, where it is directed, because frankly it is a chaos. It is complete chaos, and that's what we observe nowadays, every day in the United States. So Ryabkov in this case is a good conduit or conductor of the kind of very clear points which even the third grader or kindergarten kid can understand. And when he says that the NATO should really move back to 97, to the borders of 97, it doesn't mean that Russia necessarily wants the United States to exclude, for example, such countries as Baltic states or Czech Republic from NATO. Oh, God bless, whatever they decide, it's their life, but there will be no any weapon systems of any significance, including the in those places. Russia will not allow this. How she can do that? Well, that's a whole other story. And I can tell you immediately that there will be, if not, well, already, I can tell you that, there are already a number of the missiles pointed out at the Aegis ashore installations in Poland and in De Veselu in Romania. And point is, one way or another, including by violence or including by this standoff attacks, those things will be removed. Plus Russia, if and when Ryabkov says that the question here is not about years or months, it's the issue of days. Russia is not going to wait anymore for any kind of concessions or pretty much the hollow bullshit which traditionally US quote-unquote diplomats provide, and they cannot talk straight and speak on the both sides of their mouths. So it's and Ryabkov is clear also today on his briefing when he said, yeah, we know that's basically any kind of guarantee, including the paper, and from the United States is not the word the paper it's written on, but it is at least better than nothing. Obviously, Russia is not going to take anymore any kind of the verbal commitments because, yeah, it's not even funny anymore to talk anything with West on this issue, especially the issue of the strategic stability. But it's not only that. Russia is having United States where she wants it to be, and it is indeed the fact of the forms must be obeyed mode that Russia made her peace gesture. She put the United States and NATO in front of the fact that that's it, guys. I mean, you can go and, spew or bloviate whatever you want on the matters of the NATO expansion, but NATO is not going to exist in Ukraine or Georgia, and who knows what's going to be happening in the Baltic states. Russia doesn't need them. I mean, it's just a bunch of freeloaders and burden for Russian economy. And so, but Ukraine, while Russia is insistent, and it's absolutely correct, and it's absolutely genuine, that she not only doesn't not intend to, but she doesn't want to invade Ukraine. But obviously the fact of the matter is that any kind of the wrong move on the Ukraine will be split into several localities, and VSU, the armed forces of Ukraine, will be wiped out. There will be no NATO, American, or any other bases, and let alone the weapons of the such nature as the let's say launchers of the Tomahawk missiles or any kind of other tactical, operational, or even strategic type of weapons, strike weapons, and let alone if the which yet to be seen, I don't think so it's going to appear in 2023, but what do I know? But the United States says that, oh yeah, we activated some rocket artillery unit in Poland, which allegedly will have the hypersonic being a buzzword nowadays in Washington, Dark Eagle missile, which is basically probably, I kind of sort of speculate, most likely will be enlarged model for SM-3 with some kind of glider, or at least it will be said that it will be glider stuck on the top of it, and allegedly it should fly with the Mach 17. Well, we'll see, I don't know. So, but I doubt it's going to appear as a weapon in 2023 because it's 1 year is not enough, neither is 2 years, or for that matter 5, to develop a viable, workable, and deployable weapon system. Many people do not understand that, especially in the so-called military quote-unquote expert-dom outlets in the United States media, but you need a little bit more than a couple of years to develop actually viable system. Not to mention the fact that this year Russian armed forces already receiving the number of the battalions of the S-500, which specifically designed to fight and intercept that type of targets. Plus, of course, you have to understand that the first salvo from any kind of the weapon towards Russia, that weapon site and weapon system, including the personnel, will be annihilated within a really fast time frame. And as you might understand, deployment of things like Zircon on land, it's not that such big of a deal, really. So, and in this particular case, so Russia has all aces, both technologically, economically, and geopolitically, so to speak, to convince, quote unquote, again I'm using quote unquote today a lot, the United States to be more flexible. If not, well, you know, Russia doesn't want Ukraine, but if it comes down to it, I mean, Russia can demonstrate again to the United States and NATO how militarily impotent they are. And especially it becomes very clear against the background of Russia's airlift to Kazakhstan of the Russian forces and forces of ODKB. That was done really fast and not even engaging full capability of Russian military transport aviation. But even that was more than enough and really impressive time-wise. So Kazakhstan obviously became a major geopolitical upset for combined West. And that's the thing, the shadow which is hanging over those negotiations in Geneva. There will be other attempts of the West to destabilize Russia periphery and continue to finance and inspire all those kinds of the marginal forces, similar to what it was with this clown Navalny, or any kind of other what is in Russia called Liberda and Kryakliat, people who basically they are just absolutely useless in any respect other than to create some trouble. But for today, we may say this: the message has been delivered, and whatever the reaction in Washington will be after Russians deliver this message in Geneva, and especially what the message they delivered in Kazakhstan, it is clear that the game is, as it used to be, indeed is over, and it's a new game, a new reality. And the next thing will be, of course, Vladimir Putin traveling to Beijing Olympic Games. And after that, I might expect a lot of interesting things emerging. So, but we'll talk about this later when the time will come. But for now, what we have is Russia making her position extremely clear to anybody. Even people with a very limited intellectual capability, it is clear that there will be no NATO expansion anymore, and it's not on for NATO to decide, because Russia already decided that there will be no NATO expansion. That probably explains the sudden drastic, which is kind of almost a feature now. Rhetoric of Jens Stoltenberg, who yesterday declared that, yeah, we can negotiate and we can settle with Russia and agree on something. Well, certainly, NATO and Russia can agree on something, but the main task is no NATO, period. And it's not, again, as I said, it's not up to the United States, it's not up to NATO Council, it's not up to Jens Stoltenberg. The red line have been drawn, it is consistent, and what's gonna happen if, again, militarily Russia holds all aces, and if the United States wants yet another demonstration of its military impotence, Russia can provide it easily in the Eastern Europe, especially in Ukraine, let alone Georgia. So that's the situation for today. Whatever will be the response, we'll see. So this is my short introduction today for the events of the day. And as usual, do not forget to subscribe to me. Do not forget to support me on Patreon. I support any kind of the, I appreciate any kind of the support from you guys. And again, I'm still learning the proper use of this video technology, well, software. It's not, and I will be trying to make my videos more informative in terms of graphics, and of course in terms of finally running the names of people who support me, and I really appreciate your support, guys. Believe me, I know many of you, and you are kind of not only my support, but you are in many respects also my inspiration, because obviously I would lie if I said that, oh, I don't care how people react to me. Of course, I do it to educate people and to express my opinions. Granted, they are not fully objective, and they could be even mistaken opinions, but still, I want to deliver the information and comments on that in the most professional and calm and objective manner. So, in this case, again, support me, and thank you very much for your support. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.